since the fella who owns this car is the opposite of advanced, if you catch my drift, he didn't bring us a battery, nor does he have, he's only got the positive cable, no grounds made, no nothing. So I'm going to go ahead and just, we've got a battery here that we borrowed from the Cobra. I got some terminals, I got some 0-aught. I'm just going to make it real quick just to make my life easier. If I do this now, it'll just save me a lot of time with a bunch of headache. So let me go ahead and get this started. Like I said, we'll just build a simple ground really quick here and just put a terminal in on the end of this battery, and then we should be able to obviously get power. So it'll take me a little bit of time, but I'll go ahead and I'll get this made. All right, so I've got a poorly made battery cable install, but again, good enough for me. So go ahead and get started on our side of the job. All right, small little mix up. I gotta move the pedal position and the throttle position around. So I have them backwards. Shouldn't be that huge of a change. The only problem is that I kind of like already made the links correct, but I think they're close enough where I should be okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and start depinning this really quick here and get that all fixed. All right, so we are at the point of trying to figure out all the gauge cluster wiring for the ADU. There's a lot of weird goofy wiring already back here, but that's got nothing to do with us. So I've identified these two black connectors here, and this is a white connector here. So there's a 10, 12 pin, and then another 12 pin respectively to each one. Now I don't know if it's going to be the same as a US car. I'm going to look that up later. So what I'm going to do first is just kind of come up with a diagram, and it's going to break down the pin position plus the colors. So for the pin position, we're going to be looking at the back side. So we've hit a little issue here with the Z32. So first and foremost, some of the wiring, about 60% of the wiring on the 92 USDM is kind of the same as the right-hand drive one, but some of it, a lot of it's not. So we've kind of hit a snag with the high beam here. So I found the side marker light that was sitting in a drawer from like a million years ago, and the reason why we needed this particular light is that because it's not an LED bulb. I would assume that if you have an LED bulb in your high beam indicator, this may be a problem. It may not be. Anyways, so we'll get to it really quick here. On most cars, you have one wire to ground or one wire to power at all times, you know, whether the key's on or whatever the case may be. And then when you hit the high beam, you know, it gets power. So pretty cut and dry. Z32 is not that way. So first, a little of like how it operates is that you've got this is the light switch here. Okay, so you turn on the driving light and the low beam lights all through here, and the turn signal acts as your high beam. So you pull forward to dip it, or you press it forward to keep it on, right? So when I hit the dip, you'll see that the light comes on. Okay, so that's how it works. I'm going to turn the headlight on, right? So you can see that the headlights should be on, and I'm gonna hit the dip, and you see that it still works. And I can flip it to the forward position, and it obviously still works, right? So here's where the problem happens. So let me set this up with the power probe really quick here. So the power probe is going to, I'm going to remove one of these pins and supply constant ground to it. So currently we have constant ground to it, and you can see that the light's illuminated. So I'm going to turn it off. Now we got that all working, right? So with this off and this on, you can see that regardless of the position of the high beam, it stays on no matter what. So this is high beam off, this is dip switch, this is fully on, and you can see that it's constantly at 12 volts. Now if I turn the headlight off, you'll see that the high beam indicator turns off, and then it functions as normal. Obviously you can't push it forward because the headlights need to be on. And so the inverse is true. If I were to flip these wires, put this ground back in, and then put power to this on the other side, it's going to do the exact same thing. All right, so I've put the ground back in, and I found this is the 12 volt key on wire that I have temporarily, just because it makes it easier than trying to film and hold this to apply power at all times. But here's the same thing. As you can see, the light's on. We turn on the actual headlights, right? And you see that the indicator goes off, and if I pull forward, it works as intended. However, if I turn it off, right, you can see that regardless of the dip position the light doesn't ever cut off. Don't know why it took me so long to figure this out, and I'm a little embarrassed to even say, but in order to work the functionality of this, I just used a regular relay. I mean, you know, a relay needs a switch contact and it doesn't care what's what. So basically we have the relay here. Temporarily I have my power probe grounding it, but I've tested functionality off camera, so I know it works. So we're just gonna lay the probe on to here. Actually, I'm just gonna hold it. So as you can see, it works as intended. And I'm gonna go ahead and flip on the headlight here. And same deal. So, quick simple fix there. Alrighty, so as you guys can see, the ADU is powered on. We're tapping everything behind the gauge cluster just in the event that he can go back to stock. So everything unfortunately is gonna be electric tape. I'm not a huge fan of that, but it will work. So we've got our left turn signal, right turn signal, and we have our high beam indicator working. And so I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the headlights here. And as you can see, the headlight is working. Okay, so now that we've got quite a bit of stuff wrapped up, the last thing to do now is going to be the seatbelt and the door switch. So I pulled these images off of Google real quick and just kind of put them in here, and seems like this will work just fine. So currently right now though, that they're just hooked up to, they're triggered by the ECU warning light. And the reason why that is I literally copied this, moved it over, and then changed the icons for both of these. But a couple of check boxes away and clicks and stuff like that, and we'll get these all working. Alrighty, so I got it together. Had to do a little bit of playing around, but I was able to get it. So it's just a mix of playing with digital inputs and outputs. So first we're gonna look at the door switch here. So you can see the door switch lights up. You can see that the seatbelt currently is off. That's because I have the seatbelt buckled in. So we're gonna unbuckle that and it comes on. And then finally the e-brake, as you can see, is up and it's down. So everything is working as intended. Okay, so unfortunately my label maker is starting to run out of ink, but this is a resistor that's actually in here. So this one has been heat shrinked, and then I threw the label over it in more clear heat shrink. Anyways, this is supposed to say 470 ohms. And so what we're using this for is actually to trick the charge light. So I've got to wire this in behind the cluster to where the charge light used to go, and then this other side is going to go to key 12 volt key on, and we'll tap that in, and then that should give us, well, as it sounds, charging light. So on this, there's no polarity involved here. You could actually just wire up an LED light and or just a regular bulb on the back side and do the exact same thing, but because we have the ADU and we have a voltage warning, there's no need for another light. So I'm going to go ahead and tap this into the wiring, update our wiring diagram as well to include this, and that should be that. Now the only two things that are left now is going to be the low fuel light and the actual fuel level. So I'm also going to go ahead and wire both of those up as well. So I've got this wired in. This is for the charge light. So here's the resistor in here, and as you can see, we've also got a little bit of Testa tape on it just to keep it nice and secure, because this is mission critical in my opinion. So we got this done. Once the car starts up, we'll be able to see that it's charging. If it's charging, then obviously we're good to go here. So now the last part of it is I need to verify these two wires here. There's an orange and a blue wire. This should be for fuel level, and the blue one should be for the low fuel light. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab my multimeter. We're going to ohm out these two wires, or we're going to do a continuity check on these two wires to the two wires that are back here. So there's a 3-pin connector here that is also blue and orange, and I would assume that's going to be fuel level. So the reason why I came up with those colors is because I looked at the USDM one, and according to the diagram on the USDM, they're right next to each other. All right, so I got the fuel level, low fuel light wired up. This one is the fuel level. Now this is temporary wiring. We do have the Haltech fuel level conditioner on order, but in the meantime, I'm going to try to do it with a pull-up resistor. So in here, I have a 120 ohm resistor. And I did some kind of calculations, and I think it's going to be somewhat accurate, I hope, quote unquote, based off of the service manual. So I'm going to go ahead and jam this back in, and we're going to do some calibrating on the software to see if we can even get it to work. All right, I can't say for sure if it's working or not. I had to play around with some of the settings here, but the pin, actually, the connector here was actually kind of loose, so I had to play with it. So when I go to unplug it, you'll see that it shows a full level and the low level light warning is flashing, and that can be calibrated in the software. I just wanted to see if we could even get it to kind of work. Okay, so we finally got the EMU data over on the ECU. It's just a couple configuration settings, but you can see now that temperature and the map sensor are actually reading now. So we've got that all working. So I'd like to say that we're almost done here in terms of this stuff. I just don't trust the fuel level just yet, so we're gonna go ahead and pull it out and test it. But as far as everything else goes on this side, I think we're good to go. So I just wanted to check just to make sure that it is in fact all working. You can see flex fuel up here is 9%, and just to confirm that on the ECU master side that we also have 9.5%. So all that is working.